Well, good morning, bore da. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday.
Bore da pobl. Bore da pobl.
Yeah.
What did I just say?
Pobl. Good morning, everyone. Or people.
Yeah, good morning, peoples.
Remember the Welsh programme, Poblacum?
Poblacum.
People of the valleys, yeah.
Poblacum.
Poblacum.
People that come.
Poblacum. No,
Poblacum.
it's a bit early for that, love. Come on.
Poblacum.
We just started. It's not 9 o'clock yet. Did you? Jesus, give me strength.
Poblacum.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you once again for tuning in to your weekly brunch show with my wonderful co-host Rogue and myself, Richie. Always wonderful.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm tired.
Did
How are
you
you?
sleep well last night?
Not really, no. Did you?
I did actually. Yeah, I had a really good sleep last night. I felt refreshed this morning.
Did you?
Went for a bacon and egg sandwich, my usual.
Yeah.
I like to support Halsey.
What?
Al, you know. Spoiled with one.
Lord
Anyway,
Jesus.
good morning. So first of all, thank you to all of you that are just tuning in, waiting for more people to jump on as usual. It's a slow start, slow burner. Happy Saturday to everyone. You always do that when I talk. You sing over me. You know what you say? I interrupt you, and I do, and I apologize. But when I talk, you sing over me.
I was just thinking, good morning.
And I think that's worse than talking over me.
No, it's not.
Should we put a poll? Should we put a poll?
Yeah.
Let's do a poll, yeah?
Good morning.
Right. Shall we just see who's on here? We got Paul Burgess. Hi, good morning, Paul. Great to have you on. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Lovely to see you.
Good morning, Andy. Good morning. Good morning,
Hello,
Nikki.
Andy.
See you
I'm in
again.
a very singy mood.
Morning, Jake. Good morning. Good morning, Alison.
Hi, darlings.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Great to have you all on.
Hello, fine times.
Hello, Chappers.
Hello, Chappers.
Morning, all.
Good morning,
Richie
good
Rogue.
morning, good morning.
It
good
is.
morning.
I hope you're all well and had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week. It's been an extraordinary week, isn't it?
What
Let's face
a
it.
week
So
it
much-
has been.
So much has been going on. And of course, the biggest news this week, of course, has been
Dun,
the arrest of
dun.
Andrew. I don't like to call him Prince because he's been stripped of that title, hasn't he? And rightly so. Is Andrew, is it Lord Batten, whatever it's called? I can't let me remember.
Batten Bottom.
Batten Bottom, that's the one, yeah.
Is it
So-
Batten Bottom? Morning, New Via here. Hello, good
Yes,
morning.
Wherever you're watching from, let us know where you're watching from, actually. We'd appreciate that so we can share with people. I noticed someone here who's got Chinese writing in their bio, so maybe you're watching from China. I hope not. Anyway, that'd be interesting. From China.
He said, I hope not.
I hope not. From China. Of course not. They're spies, love.
I think that's a little bit ridiculous.
No, Chinese people are spies. You know what?
Not everybody.
They are, because their eyes are half open. My dad always said to me, never trust a person with their eyes half open.
Oh, my God.
Did you know that? Did you know that? It's true, it's true. Anyway, moving on quickly. This is unfiltered anyway, by the way. So do you trust the Chinese government then, do you?
Right. It's not about, listen, there's a government. So let's just say, right, everybody says over wherever they are,
Yeah.
oh, Keir Starmer's a wanker. So if Keir Starmer's a wanker, then actually that means everybody else in the whole of the United Kingdom is a wanker. It doesn't really work like that, does it?
Well,
That is really blinkered, Taylor.
If we did a poll, I think you find most people in the UK.
No, I think you're just chatting some bullshit, and I think you need to stop.
Right.
Right. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
So listen,
yeah.
he was arrested, and we have a face to show you because let's face it, he was arrested, and there were 6 cars that turned up,
Mhm.
3 cars that left. He was taken away, and we've had a lot of people saying, "Oh, come on, don't be so stupid. He's been arrested, but he's not going to get charged for anything. The only thing he's going to get charged for is leaking stuff."
Yeah.
So let's have a look at his face.
yeah,
Does
but
he look like he's leaking?
We were, because it's a video actually we got of it.
Oh, you didn't put the face up.
Do you know what? No, I didn't, sorry. I was going to say, he was arrested for, do you know what he was arrested for?
Please tell me.
Didn't you find out, no, what he was arrested
I
for?
thought you were asking me a question.
Yeah, it's a question. Do you know what he was arrested for?
Yeah, I do, but what was he arrested for?
What was he arrested for then?
He was arrested for leaking documents.
So basically, yeah, he was because he was an envoy, right? So the whole idea of a royal part of the family being an hang on, I'm going to put the video on in a second.
Oh,
Don't take the
right.
control. Part of being an envoy is you help to bring investment into the country, and you're an ambassador in that way, and you represent the UK on a global scale, which is what the royal family is, a kind of like virtual signaling kind of people who can travel around. Anyway, so apparently then he would have leaked some information to foreign countries, which is not right, and Epstein and everything else. But anyway, let's just watch this video, shall we? This is him being unveiled by his father.
And theirs as well. Who look
Oh my God. And that was his brother, not his father.
I know.
Stop speaking ill of the dead.
It's too early in the morning. Well, no, you can offend the dead. You know, you can't get them for liable for that. Ricky Gervais taught us that.
He
didn't
did teach us that. Ricky Gervais.
You know?
Is, yeah.
He said that if you say to someone that's alive, like, you know, you can say something that's liable, you can get done for it. But if they're dead, apparently, you can't get done for it. And he said, you know, what did he say? Can you remember what he said?
He said, if I was to say that I shoved something up somebody's bottom.
No, Gandhi took it up the bottom.
Yeah,
Something
then
like
you
that.
can't be in whatever.
I know.
Might be his father. You're right, actually. Fine
Yeah.
times.
Exactly.
It might actually be.
Who
Who
knows?
bloody knows with all of this?
But did you see the state in his face though when he was brought back in his private driver, his chauffeur? I mean, that red eye in his eye and all that, and he looked in a hell of a mess. And rightly so. I mean, look, I put out a video as well this week saying that the guy should be in jail.
Rogue is doing the side body angle, which means Richie is in trouble. It's when I go from this to
I'm always in trouble.
You're not.
Caroline, I'm always in trouble.
he's not.
Yeah,
But he has got a mouth.
yeah.
Lol, only Richie.
I've got a mouth. I've got a mouth. One of the gifts about getting older is you start going deaf. And in this year in particular, it's getting a lot better in the sense of getting deafer. Is that deafer a word?
More deaf.
More deaf, is it?
Yeah.
More deaf, is it?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Deficit. You are deficit, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So should we get on with
Yeah,
what
let's
we're
get on
supposed to be getting on with? Yes?
Come on then.
Okay. So let's have a look on the bits here because our wonderful team yet again have literally come up trumps, haven't they? Not up.
They're not up in Trump, no. What's going on with this show this morning?
Okay, so the news headlines are obviously the royal arrest and the fallout. And the UK newspapers are dominated by the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten.
Do you know that?
Mountbatten, Windsor, formerly Prince
Prince
Andrew, on suspicion of misconduct in public
That
office.
was his job.
Though he was released from custody, King Charles has stated that the law must take its course.
Well, nobody's above the law, pauper or prince, are they? I mean,
No.
that's the truth. But do you know a lot of people saying on social media this morning is this, why isn't Lord Manson being arrested then?
Well, that's really interesting, isn't it? Because actually what they're saying is we've got a ticker now, haven't we? We've got a ticker, so one down, one up. We've got
I think
one,
we got that ticker
we've
on
got
there,
the
actually.
ticker, which shows that there has been one arrest. Now, how many more arrests need to happen? There's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
A lot needs to happen. Mandelson. And well, let's face it, Keir Starmer's name's on there.
Yeah, well, so is Tony Blair. He's on about 258 times, isn't he? Something like that. And if you think about it, I still want to know why Lord Manson has not been arrested, right? Because he was the ambassador to the USA and he is closely connected. He said no ties to Epstein. We know clearly he did. So
Yeah.
that whole thing is pure hypocrisy. And actually, the actual ticker for the amount of people that have been, can you believe this? Actually, that have been arrested as a result of the Epstein files is the grand total of...
Dun, dun, dun. One.
There we go, folks.
Just one. I mean, how many names were in there? There were billions and millions of pages. Okay, millions. But the truth is,
Well, millions of pages, isn't it?
yeah, why?
Well, I think first of all, there's a lot more investigative work going on. I know that the police now are heavily involved. If you can trust the police, they're
Do you
heavily
trust the
involved.
police?
You know, I think there are some good cops and bad cops. My experience is they're all bad cops, but that's another story when I was younger. But look, I think there's going to be a lot of stuff to come out. A lot of people are trying to cover their tracks. They're searching now all of his properties, going through all of his computers, his phones, his fax messages, because they used to use faxes. Remember faxes?
I do, yeah.
Remember sending
That
fax
horrible
messages?
noise that they
Yeah.
used to make. It's gross.
Remember the pages as well. They were interesting as well, weren't they? So, yeah, Lord Mandelson not being arrested yet. I find that extraordinary, given the fact that what's happened now with Prince. I keep calling him Prince Andrew. Why am I doing
He's
that?
been stripped.
Yeah, and it's
I think he enjoyed
it's
that.
a complete embarrassment to the royal family and the late Queen, I'm sure. I mean, she, you know, there's two sides of this argument, right? Some hail her as a wonderful woman that stood up for the, you know, institution as great as it is for the British monarchy. And there's others who say that she covered up, she was his favourite son, and she hid a lot. There's a lot of controversy around that.
Some say that she's a reptilian.
Yeah, I know. I don't buy that.
Some say she's a reptilian, and she actually transformed into human form and was actually abusing children too.
Yeah, my name's E.T. and all, and I'm from
We know.
space. I'm from outer space.
You look like it too.
Thanks, love. I appreciate that.
It's
I
okay.
love the way you compliment me on air. It's so kind of you. So
I
wonderful.
know. We've got some other news,
Yeah,
actually,
we have
which
indeed.
is... Right, put his face up, please.
I don't even know what this bit is.
Pull his face up.
Whose face?
That man's face right
Don't
here.
point to the screen because it show you your fingers all over the screen. There we
I
go.
didn't.
And they can see what's on it. Thanks.
It's okay.
Right, where is he? Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, this is disgusting.
This is absolutely
disgusting.
horrific. So this guy is the Bishop of Lincoln, and he has been arrested. The Right Reverend Stephen Conway has been suspended. Why? For the arrest of suspicion of sexual assault. Here we go again. You know, we have these people that hide and infiltrate under the banner of godly remits, and it's just bullshit. I am so sick and tired of it. Our children are being hurt, harmed. Women are being hurt and harmed under these men that are absolutely standing as men of God, man of the cloth.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
They are abusing their position, just like Keir Starmer.
I think this is a lot worse, isn't it? I mean, the sexual scandal within the Roman Catholic Church, and of course, across the world, we've seen it. And you know, it's all being done. You know, they're protected. There's I think they call, well, I know they call them the Jesuit priests. They are like an order within the Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church, and they have got archives that many people will never get to see. Actually, they've got vaults under, they've got tunnels under the Vatican as well. And the amount of cover-up and scandal in the Catholic Church we've been bringing to your attention with the Caldy Islands, which we're bringing back that story in the next few weeks with our good friend Andrew, just an ordinary citizen, because we've been speaking and supporting some of the survivors. And we're going to be going to that island we mentioned to you probably in March now, Rogue, isn't it? We're doing that as well. There's a lot of stuff to come out. Now, we're aware that as we start exposing things on this channel here, we might not be a huge channel yet, but we're growing. And once we start posting this kind of stuff out, we're going to get a lot of attacks because we're going to come for people. We're coming, when I say coming after people, for justice for the survivors. So there's a whole lot more to come out on that as well. And this story, of course, doing the rounds this morning, I think this was the article about the bishop there, the Right Reverend Stephen Conway, his name was, wasn't it? Yeah, just going over it again. Yeah, so that's interesting, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff the Catholic Church is covering up. And I suppose it's an abuse of power, isn't it? That's what it is. These people feel a sense of entitlement, not just within the religious side of things, but even politicians or people who are wealthy. People who are wealthy with lots of money, people who are in religious institutions where there's a hierarchy, or people who are politicians as well. You do find that they feel that they can get away with what they want and they can do what they want and people will never find out. But that's not the truth, because people are beginning to wake up to that now and starting to expose them. And I think there is a growing sense across the country that more and more people have had enough. And whereas before people were afraid to speak out, people now feel as if, they plucked up the bravery and saying, I'm going to speak out about this because there may be other victims involved here. And if I don't say something, their voices won't get heard. And I think that is incredibly powerful for all of those that are standing up and speaking out the truth.
Yeah, so the next thing is the 50 million defence deal. This is the UK and Welsh government signed a landmark deal at Cardiff Castle today. Well, that was yesterday. This positions Wales as a launch pad for autonomous technology and uncrewed systems, expected to create thousands of high-skilled jobs. Is that going to happen?
Well, look, Wales has got nothing left apart from a tourism industry, right? We've decimated manufacturing. Our industries have gone. We were at the heart of the revolution when it came to coal, for example. And we were wealthy in minerals and materials, and we've outsourced all that to these international bodies across Europe as well. This is before Brexit, by the way. And we became, our self-reliance on ourselves ended completely, basically, right? So like we basically, you walk around any supermarket now, we look at the food that's on the shelves, it's from Spain, Portugal, France, Germany, Italy, Belgium. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Frankfurters now and again, I like a German sausage, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I don't mean why did you look at me like that when I said I like Frankfurter?
He said, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink.
Did I wink? I didn't wink then, folks, did I?
Winked.
Anyway, but look, we've outsourced our food, we've outsourced our energy, and it's left us in a position in this country where we've become independent, self-reliant on countries outside of our own. And so, this whole talk about war, which Keir Starmer keeps going on about, which is an absolute joke, by the way, because he's talked about, we're going to have to face Russia, we're going to have to go. Putin has come out and said he's not going to invade Europe. Now, at the start of all this Ukraine and Russia thing, right, I was completely opposed to any foreign country invading a sovereign nation, absolutely. But the more and more the truth is coming out, Rogue, the more and more we're seeing that actually, if you look at what's happening in Russia and in Moscow in particular, people get on with their normal everyday lives. They're not. I feel like we're under more of a dictatorship in the UK than I would be if I was living in Russia. Literally, I mean that.
Okay, I don't disagree, actually.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, look what's been happening. We get people arrested for posting stuff on social media. Now he's coming out with new bills now about VPNs. Now he's coming out with, banning certain content on social media platforms and everything else. All the guy is about is overreach of power, wanting to ban, regulate.
Control.
Please, Keir Starmer, keep your sticky, smelly, ratty fingers out of our lives. We don't want you we don't want you involved in our everyday lives. Listen, I'm a great believer in civil liberties, right? Bodily autonomy, all the things that we stand for. And I don't want a government telling me what I should eat, where I should go, what I should wear, what I shouldn't do, what I could do. Do me a favor. Do one. Not interested. Just get on with the economy. Start growing the economy. Make people's lives better. Cut the cost of living. Cut the energy bills. Scrap the net zero policy that's costing us millions of pounds and going to put people into debt. Stop treating people who are vulnerable disgracefully. Stop treating pensioners as if they're cannon fodder and you don't care about them. Stop treating our veterans like shit. If you do that and move out of the way and let people get on with their everyday lives and stop interfering with their lives, then I'd be happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that your speech to him?
No, it's a bit of a rant, yeah, because every day there's something, isn't it, with Keir Starmer? Every single day something comes up in the press about him, and it's just depressing. And I think people have enough. Coming into the elections now in May here in Wales, of course, there's going to be a big shift and a big change as well. Reform are flying in the polls at the moment, but they're dropping nationally.
Farage rates, yeah. Everybody's kind of, well, I say everybody. There's been quite a lot of people that have just jumped ship and gone across to Restore.
Yeah, they've grown. And what's the figures now? Do you know?
They're on 82,000 now.
Wow, 82,000, and they've not even registered yet. I've noticed this morning on the Electoral Commission's website, they have registered the party now. They're waiting for it to go through, so they are registering. The process of doing that. There's been quite a few spats, though, isn't there?
There are spats everywhere, actually, because what we've got is a new party that has pretty much overtaken quite a lot within numbers. So we have, do you know what? I just want to talk about really, really quickly, because what I'm really, really upset about for Rupert is that he's actually received death threats. And that's really pissed me off because he just does not deserve that. And that actually one of the death threats which we saw, which really angered me, was because they actually utilised the face of Charlie Kirk. That has absolutely pissed me off because let's face it, right? Charlie Kirk, have you got the photo? Charlie Kirk was slain for his belief system, right? It was disgusting how it happened. Everybody was absolutely devastated. I sent it to you by email. Absolutely devastated by what happened. We saw it on air, him getting shot. Now, some people say, was it real? Some people say it wasn't real. But the truth is, we saw what we saw. And if it is real, then we have to, kind of go with that. But the thing is, to put the face of Rupert Lowe on Charlie Kirk is actually disgusting. But I'm going to find it because... Yeah,
you have to find it because I can't find it on your...
It really upset me. Yeah, really, I just thought it was freaking horrible.
And of course, I mean, these death threats obviously have been reported to the police, and rightly so. And that's the one there. Yeah.
Can you see that? So that is a picture, and you can see, they've actually put it's horrible. That is actually this guy by Ginger Tom right there. He's the one that posted that. And Rupert Lowe has actually responded and said, you just called Restore Britain neo-Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Well, let's go up to the rise of Restore, because it is a big news item, isn't it? Right. So Rupert Lowe obviously started it within an hour or so, or a day, at the same time as Advance UK. The conversations went, as we do now know, that Rupert Lowe wasn't going to join Advance in the beginning anyway, and decided to start up this movement, and it's grown exponentially. And of course, we know he's a wonderful MP for Great Yarmouth, and he's...
Sorry, can I just say, Richie Rogue, did you see that Baraka called Restore the Gestapo?
Gestapo? No, I didn't see that. No, I didn't see that. We'll have to get that clip up and have a look at it. We can phone Baraka and call him out if you want, love.
Yeah,
we'll do it. Get him on the show. Just to say quickly on that, on Rupert Lowe, right? So the party starts just recently, right? They've got some wonderful people around them being called Nazis. I think it was Lila Cullingham from Reform has been out on the rounds this morning. GB News yesterday, calling the party Nazi party. Now, this is interesting from the playbook of Reform. Reform for years have been called Nazis, and now they're using the left-wing tactics to attack Restore. You just couldn't make it up, right? So it's like almost they have shifted so far from the centre right from what they were, Reform, and that is, to becoming now the party that is attacking people for things that they stood for themselves. Because they realised to get into power, you have to comply. You have to be part of the system. You have to be part of the group, the big boys clubs, and you have to be part of the Union Party, I suppose. But in Welsh context, it's completely different here in Wales, Rogue, isn't it?
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly. It's completely different here in Wales for us, because you as well, we've both been under attack for suggesting that we've been encouraging people here in Wales to vote for Reform. Now, I want to make something very, very clear. We are not with any political party anymore. Are we, love?
No.
Okay. So we are what we call non-partisan. That's right word, isn't it?
Non-partisan.
We are apolitical, so we are not with any political party. We will support any party that does what is right for the people of this country, and of course, in particularly, more specifically here in Wales. So if there are policies that we believe would be good for the people of Wales, we will support them, we will advocate for them. We will never tell people how to vote, but that being said, if we want to have a Plaid and a Welsh Labour coalition propped up in the next Senate elections to win in the elections, because they're neck and neck, right? The last poll I read was 33% each. They're neck and neck. If any other party would split the vote, and I know there's no split in the vote, but on this occasion, I'm going to dive into this. What will happen is that we will allow them back in. And after 2 decades, after 26 years of what we've had here in Wales, nothing but disaster. You can look at all the measurements, education, transport, and everything else. And our internet has just gone down. We'll be back in a second, folks. 1 second. You might be able to hear us, but might not be able to see us, so just bear with me a second. We haven't put that. We'll be back in a second. You'll go, just bear with us. So
3, 2, 1.
At the stage.
Oh, they can still hear us. Okay, cool. As long as you can still hear, that's no problem. We'll come back on in a minute. So actually, just going on to the fact that somebody's just mentioned actually that at timestamp 5013, Baraka obviously said what he said, and Richard Thompson sat there and said nothing. So people are now asking the question about Advance. So can we just go back to the comments, because I kind of just want to tap into this. Can you go up a tiny bit, please?
Just let people know the pictures on there, folks, because we've lost our camera for a moment.
I don't know what's happened there. So here we go. It says here, will Advance accept Restore is eating them alive now? As an Advance member, first-time member of a party, I'm disappointed by a number of known faces and voices on net negative on Rupert and Restore.
Will Advance be eating them alive now? I mean, look, people can put their vote wherever they want to. They can support any party they want to. But in the best interest of country before party, the best for Wales, I can only speak for Wales, and I'll speak nationally maybe a little bit later. Rogue can obviously, we'll talk about that. But what I will say is this. We do not want the same as we've had before in Wales. We need a change. And the only way to get that change is to vote for Reform. Now, do I support Reform? No. Do I agree with everything Reform does? No. Do I have friends within Reform? Yes. Do I have friends within Advance? Yes. Do I have friends in the Labour Party? Welsh? Yes, I do. Do I have friends in the Welsh Conservatives? Yes, I do. In fact, a good friend of mine, Natasha, who is a Welsh Conservative, has agreed to come on our show before the elections. So she's going to be coming on speaking about the Welsh Conservatives. Do we support the Welsh Conservatives, Rogue? No, we don't. But we want as many people on here so they can have this platform to debate and share and to try and convince you, the public, of why you should vote for them. That is how democracy works. Democracy isn't us saying, this is the best thing since sliced bread, these are the only party in town. No, we want you to make your minds up, having heard the arguments and the debates and what they put to you. I think that's what's called democracy. Now, our good friends, Voice of Wales as well, Dan Morgan, has been out on the airwaves as well. Spoke to him yesterday and this morning in regards to, some of the attacks that he's been under, because he's called out standing in the Senate elections, called for Advance members to become candidates. He's called it out and said, look, don't do this because you're going to give a free ride for Advance, for Reform and for Welsh Labour and for Plaid Cymru. Now, if you're more interested in the country than the other party, then I'm sorry, then you're missing it by a million miles. So that's my thoughts on it as well. I'm going to try and get this camera back up, bro. Can you just bear with me a second? Do you want to go through the comments and chat?
Yeah. So I'm just looking. Somebody's obviously saying something about Richard Inman. I don't want to comment on that. I can appreciate your views, but it's not for me to comment on because, I like the guy, but I don't know, something's gone a little bit wrong.
I think we might be back here, Rogue. I think I might have done it. So just bear with me. Let's bear with me. We're back. Hello.
Right, can you zoom us in, please?
No, I like zooming out because my face is horrible. That's good like that. So we're back, folks. Apologies for that. Technical issues. And, of course, our studios need upgrading as well. So thank you for all of you that support.
Hello, Glyn. Lovely to have you on. Great. Thought you were having a bad hair day. That camera wasn't working.
Yeah.
No, it was just the camera going a bit
technical
wonky.
issues.
I don't know what's going on. So look, apparently Baraka has said something on the show, which was something huge is happening. And Richard Thompson and I think was Sarah White on there last night. And I think what somebody has said, Cara has said, that's the link to Baraka's show where he called Restore at 5013 timestamp. I've written that down. So why did Richard Thompson say nothing? Did he say something at all? Was there any kind of conversation? That'd be interesting to know. So look, what we're talking about, right, is Wales and why Wales is so important and how the Welsh people feel that we are just being completely cut off the map. So somebody else has also asked us why have we left Advance. So I think we need but I think we can highlight the two things, which is Wales is actually a country, not a region. So we need people to understand and appreciate that Wales is important. It is part of the union. It is an incredible country with so much wealth, and the people here are just incredible. Okay, and what we have got is Advance saying that it's a region and it's not a region. And we just want people to understand that Wales is on its knees at the moment. Yeah. We are going into the Senate in 77 days. It's either 77 or 76 days. So we have got Advance UK, and I am going to say it, I am going to call it out. We have got Advance UK's new leader, and the new leader is pushing. And when I say pushing, I mean every day like a fucking car salesman standing there, giving it the large and actually trying to bring people in to pay £500 to stand in the Senate.
Yeah.
Why? We have 77 days. That is not going to make a difference. We've grokked it. We've gone onto every single poll. We've done everything we can to do our due diligent research, and it is polling at zero. One big fat zero. So 77 days is not going to make a difference. And all you're doing is getting people who are sucked into wanting to believe, for Wales and to stand for Advance because they want to make a difference. And I absolutely implore their passions and say, go for it if you absolutely have this passion, but not yet. Not
Right.
yet.
Let's get the cards on the table, right? We were brought in to lead the army in Wales, and we specifically said to Ben at the time, Ben, and these were Ben's words, by the way, we want to get ready for the general election in 2029. I agreed with him completely. There was no talk of the Senate elections. He asked me my opinion, and having worked in politics here in Wales for a long time, I said, Ben, we don't have the time, we don't have the money, we don't have the numbers. It would be political suicide. So my advice was, let's build for the local elections in 2027, the ground game, council elections, and then towards 2029, when we'll have superb candidates ready, people who have been vetted, trained, because when you're a candidate, you have to face the cameras, you have to face the press, you have to go to hustings, you have to debate live on television. Now, be aware of that, because you have to do that as part of the parcel. Not only that, you have to find a certain number of candidates. Currently, there are 96 seats available in the Senate. Now, you need at least 2 on the list of those 16 super constituencies. I know this is jumbo mumbo to some of you. I'm just trying to explain to you in layman's terms. So at least 32 candidates that will be able then to campaign and have the free political broadcast and have a free leaflet to the door. So what will happen is people will have never heard of Advance UK in Wales, okay? That's what we were doing. That's why we were traveling around Wales, to introduce people to this brand new party, what we stood for, and all the principles that I still believe in, by the way. We still believe in the freedom of speech, sovereignty, democracy, and equality under the law. Absolutely. We've not changed from that. We've been very consistent. But it would be absolutely absurd. And I'm going to say this because a few things have been said to me, and this, I suppose this is our challenge. We can say, well, we went to a certain extent.
Go ahead.
I think people are being misled, and I think it's being done by an ambitious person who he thinks he's above his station, with all due respect, with very little political understanding of how things work in Wales. And I think what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to be very disappointed. A lot of people are going to be out of pocket. And this is why I've tried to warn people. And so has our friend Dan from the Voice of Wales.
Great guy. Absolutely great guy. Him and Steph have got a show in the mornings.
So, I mean, I think, we don't want people to be misled. When we were traveling, we were telling people in those meetings, when I was asked the question, will you be standing in the Senate elections, Richards? And my answer publicly, not privately, was no. And I give them the reasons which I've always shared with you on here. It would be crazy. It would be wrong. The timing is wrong. The timing is wrong. With political parties, those of you in the political know, you know this. The first key thing is branding. The name. It's called name recognition. It's a political term we use for things, right? Name recognition is first. You have to have that. And if we walk around here, in fact, what we might do this afternoon, we take our microphones out in the streets and we'll ask people, have you heard of Advance UK? And we're in Wales here now. And let's do a survey later, Rogue.
Yeah. I mean, I'll actually go on the streets and I'll be like, right, okay, have you heard of Advance UK? Do you know? And I bet you out of 100 people, only 5 would have heard of it, and 2 of us.
2 of us. But not doing that as well. I mean, Monty Toms had been out yesterday asking people if they knew about Rupert Lowe, and the amount of people that knew about Rupert Lowe was unbelievable. So I mean, you've got to look at it objectively. Don't be kind of a sycophant of a party or a person. Think, they're going to save the nation because that's what Farage used to do, right? And it's not working. So we need to be honest and transparent with the public. So what we've got to look at doing is looking for a party, even if they hold your nose, that will change the current political trajectory of what we have here in Wales. And the only way to do that right now here in the UK, and we were slated to say, no, you're telling people to vote reform. No, we're telling people to do what's best for the country. Forget the party, it's the country. And I'm fed up to the back teeth of people going on about allegiances to parties over country. The country and the people of this country, Wales I'm talking about, matter more than the colour of the rosette that's on the candidate. I don't give a monkey's toss. Because it's about the people. And that's surely why people get into politics. And the idea, and this really pissed me off, and I'm going to say it, to try and sell people to stand as candidates here in Wales. This is a great job. You can make 79 grand a year. You can be paid this. This isn't about money. If you get into politics for money, there is something really wrong with you. And I would never trust any person that has an ambition to just have to be an elected official just because they're going to get 79 grand a year.
So Steve said, Wales isn't even featured, Advance UK Wales isn't even featured on the Advance UK website, let alone the manifesto promises, candidates or anything else.
There is no manifesto.
No, exactly. And so they're pushing forward. It's unbelievable, to be honest.
What we have is sound bites, the 20-mile speed limit. Well, we all know that. Come on, wake up, smell the coffee. 500,000 people, 500,000 people signed a petition. The Welsh government turned it down. And councils are already reversing the 20-mile speed limit, because what the Welsh government did in response to that petition, they went to the local councils, of which there's 22 councils in Wales. Currently, they're looking to shorten that, 22 councils. And they're saying to them, look, you make a decision. You're the council. If there are roads you think need to be increased back to 30 miles an hour, we leave that decision to you. Now, I've always advocated, actually, the 20-mile speed limit on this, outside schools, I think it should remain. Outside children's parks,
Dan,
I think it should remain.
Dan's coming on. He's waiting for the link to come on.
Oh, right, okay, I'll just send it.
Sorry, I'm so sorry, Dan. I thought you were talking about the Baraka link.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I didn't realise that he wasn't
Let's
reading
bring it
that.
down on 1 second.
You need to come on. Absolutely need to come on. Right, we're going to send you the link now. I apologise, Dan. I honestly thought you were talking about the Baraka.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Right, yeah, he's going to send you that now. So let's have a look. Depending on they are, there's 14 pages of information about Northern Ireland, and there are 113-page policy paper. Mass deportations policy will affect Northern Ireland and how they will address that too. So, yeah, that's not it's not my blonde moment. It's his blonde moment. He was supposed to send the link.
Link, nearly home. Yeah, sending. He's laughing at me on here. Dan, I've just sent you the link, mate. We can get him on straight away now. Brilliant.
9 pages on the Belfast Agreement and 5 pages on the Windsor Framework. It's on their website, so have a look at that. Cara, so why called Restore Britain? I think that's what it was called as a movement anyway, wasn't it?
It was.
Great Britain. It's all of us, isn't it? So, let's have a look. I'm just.
I think it's what people need to remember. We're 3 years away from the next general election. And we were asked by Rupert's team whether or not it's worth standing in Wales, and I think Rupert's made the right decision. He realizes, like this, there's not enough time, and it would be wrong. Anything else, focus on what is important right now. What do the British people? What Rupert keeps saying is this, and when people attack him, do you know what he says? I love this. I don't care.
So 5 times is saying the Welsh are special, advanced at having teething issues for sure, but without the necessary expertise regarding Wales expertise. I respect your opinions, and Ben knows what is right, but sometimes too many voices.
Wrong advice. I mean, look, I don't want to go over old ground, Rogue, because if you want to watch what we said in previous videos, please go back and have a look, because we've done this in great detail, in calmness, and in a professional way, in my opinion, to explain to people why. I do, and again, we wish Advance the best of luck. We wish Rupert the best of luck. We wish, Reform the best. Listen, we're not with the party, but we want the best for the country. And if that is a particular party that I might not agree with, but 80% of what they're going to do is going to be good for Wales, I will support them 100%, because it's not about. And I've said it before, and Rogue, I think what will happen with Reform, the likelihood is that they'll implode to a certain extent when they get into power, into government, unless they get the right people around them. And then as a result of that, there'll be by-elections in Wales. And then moving in then to the next elections, council elections, that's when Advance could build a strong base. That's when Restore could have so many members here in Wales, which are growing because more and more people are migrating across them, where they could be real contenders. And I think people need to realise as well, to stand in Welsh elections, if you want to win an election in Wales, Farage is putting £5 million into the Welsh elections, allegedly, okay? That's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So you don't just put £5 million worth of money in if you haven't got the right candidates. They've been vetted correctly. They've gone through the procedure. There's media training. They'll scour your social media to see if you've said anything that's racist. There's anything that could be construed as inciting hatred. There's a whole bunch of things. Still waiting for Dan to come on. Dan, you've been sent a link. You put your thumbs up, so wait for you to come on. And I think people need to understand that it ain't just about, here he is. Hey, he's just getting ready. Here's the man. Voice of Wales is on. The Richie.
What's happening?
How are you?
Good morning. How are you all doing?
Yeah,
we're good, man. Yeah. Really How are you?
Good. Bit rushed. Set up. I got my cup of tea for the main man.
Good old Trump.
Mm-hmm. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, Dan, we've been having conversations, obviously, and things have been happening. You've been attacked, haven't you, recently? Tell us about these attacks that have come on you guys.
Yeah, well, I say attacks. They're more, people who have no skin in the game, unfortunately. It's people in England criticising my let's just say, well, you know, so let's start at the beginning. So, you know,
Yeah.
Rich, when you were leader of Wales in advance, me and you had many conversations off camera, off social media and stuff like that about my concerns with standing in Wales. And I think, you know, one of the things I said is that I could never forgive someone who would deliberately get in the way and destroy what chance our children have of growing up in a
Yeah.
safe environment. And, you know, ultimately, when it comes to your children, you're prepared to go to war with anybody, you know. So when Advance assured us that they wasn't going to stand, I joined, and I joined because I wanted to show my commitment to Ben, you know, early, just to you know, just for that loyalty aspect, so to say, you know, to show my commitment. I'm there early, and I'm behind you. But that was under obviously the condition that they wasn't going to be standing in Wales. Obviously, you know what happened with you guys. Then there's this new guy that's come in, and all of a sudden, you know, he's selling Senedd seats, you
I
know,
know.
like there's no tomorrow. I can't believe like that strategy alone, you know, come and get a job, 75 grand or 85 grand or whatever he said. Like, we don't want them people in Parliament. You know, we don't want them people in the Senedd who are there for the money. That's not what we want. You know, we need people who are in it for the country. You know, like you guys were. You know, your decision making with Advance was putting the country over the party, and that was why.
Yep.
You know, you were successful. You were getting a lot of people. You know, you had a lot of support, and we've seen the
Mhm.
fallout in Advance Wales since, you know, you guys left. You know, I think pretty much you guys left, and I hazard a guess the membership is depleted massively. But the people who have been attacking have been people living in England, you know, on our side of politics, you know, who are supportive of Advance, like we were. Um, they just couldn't grasp the concept that with 3 days now to the election, fielding you know, trying to get a load of candidates in to field a nationwide campaign where nobody knows you is, well, it's political suicide, isn't it? You know, so it begs the question, why would they want to do that? You know, and you know, the more I'm seeing now, I've finished dealing with Pete Prosser now. I'm not bothering speaking to him. He's obviously you're not getting through to him. Myself and Stan spent a long time yesterday speaking to Ben about it. You know, so Ben knows where Wales stands now. So the ball's in his court, absolutely. You know, we unfortunately we did have to go above Pete's head because it wasn't getting anywhere. You know, we couldn't get any sense out of him. We couldn't try to make him understand that the only people who are going to be voting for Advance in Wales are people who would be voting for reform if Advance didn't exist. Now, they're not going to take away from any other party. And this is the problem. They're not going to take away from Plaid. They're not going to take away from Labour, the Greens, the Libs, or anything like that. The only people they're going to take away from is reform. And if they do take um, the vote away from reform and they do cost reform seats, well, you've got to ask what their intentions are then, haven't you? Because I'm starting to believe that their intentions are to stop reform. That's the only logical explanation I can come to in my head now why they'd be willing to stand. And I think it seems to be a personal issue, and they just want to stop. It seems like they want to stop reform. That's where I am on it now because of how long it's gone on. I can't see them. You know, there's no way they can say they're standing up for the people of Wales when they're assisting and facilitating Plaid Cymru, Labour, and the Greens. That's dangerous. It's really
How did
dangerous.
Ben take it when you spoke yesterday? What was his kind of reaction?
Well, ultimately, it was I'll consider. You know, I'll consider what you're saying. You know, that's the long or short of it. And you know, all I wanted was, you know, Ben's doing what Ben has to do in London. He's very London centric. He's not in touch with Wales. You know, I know he didn't come down to the party that you guys had and things like that. So I think his decision making, you know, he's given it to someone else to decide. My whole idea of making sure that, you know, of contacting Ben was that I know in my head now that Ben is aware of the concerns. So then, you know, that can lead to later judgment later down the line when needs to be. But ultimately, you know, in Wales, that's all we need to focus on. There's lots of people, you know, a lot of people in Wales, as you know, and this is no criticism because Welsh politics is boring, it's horrible, it's disgusting. So I don't blame anybody for not being involved or not being up to date or clued up so much on Welsh politics. But, you know, we've got a 46% turnout in the last Senedd elections, and anybody switched on in Wales will know something's changing. You know, there's you guys will know the political electricity that there is in Wales at the moment is like nothing I've seen before or felt before. You know, the people of Wales are wanting that change. And, you know, I think there's a lot of people who haven't been involved in politics who may well have gone, oh, well, you know, I voted Labour all my life because my parents did, my grandparents did. They're not voting Labour anymore. You know, they are looking for solutions, looking for alternatives, and looking for people who are, you know, get to bring common sense back. You know, reform aren't the answer. You know, they're not. You know, they are, as far as I can see at the moment. Yeah, you know, as it stands at the moment, we've got 70 days, and that's the mission. You know, after that, we can start looking at other things. You know, completely open-minded then, and that's the position that we taken with Advance. You know, we would recommend waiting until after this election, and then go hell for leather. You know, that's what I would suggest that they do, because all they're doing now is losing any support that they actually had. You know, if you look at their X account, all the videos that come out, any comments are on it, underneath it are negative. You know, they're either people sticking up for you guys, saying you should never have done that to Richie and Rogue, or people saying, well, it's not a likely possibility. You're obviously not going to be able to field candidates. So there's no positive messaging coming from anybody in Advanced Wales on the ground, as in the members, regarding them standing. So again, I just don't know why they're doing it.
Yeah, Dan, you've been covering almost for like 15 years, almost 2 decades with Voice of Wales, and you've done an incredible job, you and Stan. I know, you're going a bit grey there, mate. I know. And, you know, I've kind of always been very, very supportive of you guys, and because I've always seen you guys as always putting country before anything else, you know, and you've gone to you've had your microphones in the face of Matt Drakeford. You called him out. You've been an advocate for freedom of speech, civil liberties, all the things, and we're aligned very closely on those principles. I mean, just on a personal note, I mean, how much has this taken out of you the last 15 years, this fight, and what keeps you going every day to keep doing this, mate?
It's very simple, actually. It's taken everything, literally everything. You know, everybody that does this knows. You know, people call you grifters. You know, that makes me laugh, because there's, you know, we put the £1 challenge thing out every now and again, right? We're lucky if we get £6. You know, so there's no money, so there's no grifting, so there's no financial gain or anything from this sort of stuff. You sacrifice everything. You're unemployable. You know, if I was ever to go and try and get a job somewhere in Wales now, I would be spotted, I would be reported, the job would sack me, you know, because, oh, you're hiring a Nazi. You know, relationships, everything, it costs everything. But then, you know, I got kids, I got young children, and I know in my head, one day I'm going to have to look them in the eyes and say I tried my best. And, you know, I at the moment, I can say that, you know, and I can, and whatever cost, I can say that I've absolutely tried my best. And, you know, that is ultimately the whole motivation for what I do. You know, it is for, you know, not just my children. You see what's happening in schools all across Wales. South Wales more than most, where you get in, you know, Muslim preachers coming into schools to teach children how to pray. Schools are all eating halal. You know, they're going on these mandatory sex education from age 3. And, you know, the stories that we're hearing now, you know, all these things 7-8 years ago when we were all chatting about it were just conspiracy theories and nothing, you know, it's just one of them things, or whatever, they don't know what they're talking about. But we're seeing it all now, 7 years later. We're watching what children are having to go through in schools. So, you know, that's the fight. That's the ultimate fight, is the safety and security of all the children and grandchildren in Wales.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kelly's just put, so to confirm, is Richie or yourself going to stand in the next Senate election as independents? So look, everybody wants to know, look, I'm going to ask the question. If Ben and Peter Prosser change their tack, would you go back to Advance?
I don't think I would. This level of convincing shouldn't need to be done. You know, like Pete Prosser, I do wonder if he's making any decisions, or if it's this new guy in London that said, no, we're standing in Wales, get someone. So I don't know who it is, but ultimately, anybody who was put to put the country first would see the decision to stand as not putting the country first. So I think I've told them my concerns. You know, Pete Prosser went and called us Plaid Cymru. You know, he said, oh, you sound like you're a plaid plant or something. It's like, well, us? Really? You know, and so, like, that said to me, well, he obviously doesn't know who Voice of Wales are, which is fair enough. but he obviously didn't care neither. You know, you see there's quite a big fault. I probably hazard a guess, same with you guys, every advanced member in Wales probably follows Voice of Wales, Richie Rogue, because that has always been the gateway for these people to get to advance. There was no, public advertisement or anything in Wales. It's all through people. And I think if they were too ignorant to listen to the people on the ground who know and who have got genuine skin in the game, I don't think they're a party I could ever work with.
No, I don't think.
No,
which is a shame. Which is a shame because I like Ben.
It is.
The question about standing. I mean, I think as Dan knows, and he supported myself as well. I stood in 2 elections, Westminster and Senate elections, and so I kind of give my kind of go at it. And I believe in democracy, and if you don't get voted in, then the people don't want you to be in that position, and so you accept that graciously and you walk away and say thank you for your support. Although I got a lot of support and I am grateful to every single one of those people, especially in Blaenau Gwent as well. I have a lot of friends there. But I think ultimately, Dan, I think I'm getting to the place now. I said to Rogue last night, there's 3 things really with what's going on in the country. It's media, culture and politics, and they all play into each other. And I think if we can have an influence in the political kind of field, if you like, it's through media. And it's, understanding that culture is a big part of it. And we're facing a massive culture war. And I think that culture war, and people talk, there's no such thing as identity politics. There is. And I think we need to start looking at how we can change culture. And the only way you change culture, you use the tactics of mainstream media, because that's what they've done for years. So if they create a narrative, push it out to the masses who watch it, religiously, and their ideas and opinions are shaped from what they hear from television. So if we as alternative media can help question that narrative and shape people's thinking to think differently, then that's what we can do from the outside. And I always believe, this, Dan, I talked to in many shows about the ballot box being the place, getting into the belly of the beast, being in politics to make a change. And I've attempted to do that. I've tried to do that, and many people have as well, and been unsuccessful. Not because people didn't believe in us, it's just that people believe mainstream media more than us on the outside. But I think what we can do now, we can shape people's thinking through what we do with the Richie Rogue show and many other platforms are out there, yourself, Voice of Wales as well, to get them to look at what they can do. I mean, we've been working very closely. We met with the guys from Together this week, didn't we? Alan Miller and the guys. And I like how they approach things. So what they do is they're not a political party, but they put pressure on MSs, MPs and government officials on key issues that are all about the things that we believe that are right for us as citizens in this country, that we're better the country, no to digital ID, no to net zero, against the assisted dying bill, all those things, Dan, that we stand for, against lockdowns, against vaccine passports back in 2021. And it worked. It actually worked. So I think looking at alternative ways now to do it is going to be the way forward. I think Restore, though, I think they're a different kettle of fish altogether. I think we're going to see something completely different. And I think it's going to be revolutionary in the political world. Obviously, they're brand new, and who knows where that's going to go.
As a political party, but as a movement, they came out an hour after Advance on the same day, didn't they?
But let's remember, they started as a movement, didn't they? Right? It's like Yes Cymru, that lot, Dan. We know those guys.
Yeah. Plaid Cymru, basically.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So, and I do think that there needs to be a collaboration with us, working together with people of the same ilk and same mind that really do genuinely care about the country. And I'm afraid too many people get involved in politics for the wrong reason. It's for ambition, it's for fame, it's for money, it's for all the wrong reasons. And if there's one thing that I'm against, is that, because that's not why you get into politics, is it? You get in there because you want to help families, communities, town centres, businesses, you name it. That's what we want to do, Dan.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right, and that's why we are where we are, isn't it? Because there's too many of the wrong people in the wrong jobs for the wrong reasons. That's ultimately what it is. It's jobs for the boys. You look at all these people now standing down from the Senedd. Like for example, I'll just take one, Lee Waters. Everybody knows and loves Lee Waters, the man behind the 20 mile per hour. He's been working within the Senedd for a very long time, working with a charity called Sustrans, which provides cycles, cycle biking charity, which is why he's doing the 20 mile per hour. All the cycle tracks all around Llanelli, all because of Lee Waters. And he's been giving money to that company, giving them funding and stuff like that, all to just wipe his hands of the Senate and go and retire and work in Sustrans. So, you know, this is what it's like. This is the culture in politics. It's all looking after each other, jobs for the boys, not right people doing the right things for the right reasons at all. With standing for election, obviously, yeah, you know, I can't remember what it was. It might have been 2019 that I stood. I can't remember. But obviously, Stan has stood as well. You have stood. I think it was good to get the experience of standing. I think the timing, you know, if we were ever going to stand in the next election or two, is the time to do it. But ultimately, you know, politicians and election campaigns last for a small amount of time for a small part of the period. Whereas with Voice of Wales, Richie and Rogue, you know, and other people, they are more effective. It's constant, you know, it's every week they're up to something. So I believe at the moment, as it stands, we are a lot more effective doing the media and holding people to account every single day of the week, rather than standing for election. I think later on in life, possibly. But at the moment, no, I think we're doing a really good job as media. You know, you guys, all of us in Wales. Well, I say all of us. It's probably just us three, isn't it? Really, in Wales, we've got a really small market.
And your
And I
Steph
just wanna,
as well. And your Steph. Come on now.
Yeah. Of course. You know, like, well, when I say us three, I mean Voice of Wales as a team and you guys as a team as well. So I'm not excluding Steph. She's gonna kick my ass. But I just want I want to answer this question here, Helen Crystal. What's Prosser's background? Does anyone know? Here we are. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's not very good.
Hang on, I know you can't see it because I can't send it over in time, but it says here Pete Prosser right at the bottom, and he was actually standing for reform, but I'm going to show you the percentage that he got, and that is 1%. 1%.
Yeah.
That is who is your new Welsh leader, I'm afraid.
And that was with Reform as well. He's got links, you know. He's gone back with Reform, Brexit Party, so he goes all the way back, you know, in that blob. So, you know, to say, you know, he's any different to anybody else is unbelievable. Why he's going to be this savior that we have, you know, is just it's bonkers. And everybody and you guys probably have as well. But I've had so many people messaging me about this. So many people who are advanced members messaging me saying they're hating seeing what's going on, and nobody hates seeing infighting more than us. You know, as Welsh people, you know, we are all about love, smiling, cutch. You know, arguing and infighting and stuff like that. It's just not normally what we try and get involved in. But something else about being Welsh is that we're also passionate. And when it comes to country, children, you know, we are passionate about their safety and the future of our country. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Pride, Labour out. And the only way that we're going to be able to do it, not that we want to do it, but is that a tactical move is reform. And we told Ben this at the very beginning, and we've been telling all of our members of Advance when we were, you know, this is the way that we're going to have to do it. We can't stand. It is absolutely no point. And what, like you said, is so important to each and every one of us is our country, our culture, and our people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what would be the best thing, right? And if Rupert's got a really good opportunity, right? Because you know, I can't see a merger happening, right? I just can't. I think, you know, Rupert's got his baby, Ben's got his baby. You can't combine that baby, you know, and what you'll end up having, Rupert's got a good team, right? Rupert's got a fantastic team. I know the team around him. You know, we've done lots of work with him. You know, Richie, remember Charlie Downs when he came down to the event in Llanelli? You know, really good guy. And they are good people. He's got a solid team. The stuff he's doing on the rape gang inquiry, you know, he put all that first before even rushing into a launching decision. But so he's got his own team and party and his own, you know, structure. To bring someone else in is only going to disrupt it, I think. So if Rupert was to, you know, Rupert, I think it'd be a good move for him to, and that, you know, if he was to say, you know, we're not standing in Wales, you know, because I know he's not, I know, you know, I haven't heard anything. I haven't spoke to him or I haven't heard from him that they're not. But there's no rumblings, there's no mention, there's no nothing about it. So if Rupert was to come out and say, you know, hello Wales, because a lot of people in Wales know Rupert. A lot more people in Wales know Rupert than Ben, unfortunately. You know, I say unfortunately, but that's just how it is. So if he came out and he said, hello Wales, just to let you know, I haven't forgotten about you, but I think the right thing to do right now, we are going to not interfere with your election. You have got to get rid of them two parties. And the only way you're going to do that is by getting reform in. We get that. But after that election, we are with you 100%. If you know, if they said something like, I had goose pimples, even imagine him saying it then. So if, you know, if they said something like that, that would get the Welsh people like, yes, we've got something, because there's so many people in Wales now voting reform because it's all that they have. And it's the only realistic opportunity to do anything. You've got 5 years after that. Imagine a reform government for 5 years and having the opportunity then to prepare, put them under a microscope in Wales and use everything that they do or don't do for your general election campaign against them in your favour. That's only going to do your party good. So, the difference is with Advance is that they're basically finishing their political journey in Wales within, it's been what? Not even a week of them announcing.
Yeah.
And it's done.
Yeah.
It's finished.
I want to tap into this comment. So I hate to think and say this now, but after listening to Rupert speak of his meeting with Ben, I think Ben should have anticipated Rupert possibly changing course and held back. It's actually worse than that. I believe, this is my personal opinion, that we've all been duped, because Rupert told him not to go ahead and actually set the party up. He said to hold out because he was going to set up a movement. So Ben then went and did what he did, but is still saying with his posturing that actually we did it for Rupert. But if Rupert said he didn't want it, why are you going ahead and doing it and then pretending now, oh my God, well, Rupert's not merging with us. Well, Rupert was never going to merge. So this whole foundation has crumbled because actually the truth has been exposed. It was never going to happen. And that for me is huge, because I'm almost like tempted to ask for my money back. I want my money back because I've been duped. I actually believe Rupert was coming. But
I just want to say thank you to the original Joe Blogs there for joining as a member. Thank you so much.
Thank
appreciate
you.
That. Our membership's
He's come
growing
across
as well.
from X.
Oh, right. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much. We really appreciate all the support to keep the channel going, membership and super chats. Don't forget to hit the super chat as well, folks, to support the channel. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we have slightly been duped because, and unfortunately, Ben has got to hold that position and basically say, sorry guys, he's not wanting to merge with us. Well, no, the merger was never going to happen.
Yeah.
And that for me is kind of based on a lie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I see it online. It's quite embarrassing, really. It's like, oh, you're welcome to join anytime. Yeah, we'd love to have you with us. Oh yeah, come over whenever you're ready. It's like, oh guys, this is private chats. Do this private.
Exactly. But Rupert called it out. He did say, look, this needs to be held privately. Anything like this, let's not do it online. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And I think everybody was cringing. We were like, oh my God.
Yeah, It was, I think it was, Ben was clever with what he did because he found a small political party that was already registered as a political party, which was the Integrity Party. And he got that and basically took over it from Richie Rogue. So he had an already formed political party. So all he had to do was rebrand, put new stickers on it and start to build. Whereas Rupert did it absolutely right. Like the problem is, and there are a lot of people who do this sort of thing, may have good intentions, but you've rushed to do it, and then the rushing is what causes the problems and the mistakes to happen. So I think Rupert's done it absolutely right, and we've been looking for a Trump-style leader or politician in the United Kingdom, and I think Rupert is him. I think Rupert could very well be him, because he's got that pull factor, he's got that warmth, and he's got that track record of compassion. Before he even knew he was going to be setting up a new party, before he knew he was going to be kicked out of Reform and then set up by Zia Mohammed Yusuf, on this charges and stuff like that. Before he knew all of that, he already said, I'm donating this pay. All my wages go into a charity every single time. So, he's a man that's in it for the right reasons. And, he's done it right. And that's what we've always got to consider. He hasn't rushed it. He hasn't tried to force it. He's done it right. And there's a natural process now where people are going to naturally fill in the Restore membership.
Mm-hmm.
So underneath here, it says, Rupert told Dan Wootton that he has issues with the structure of the college and some members, i.e. Tommy. So Restore can't stand anywhere because they aren't a registered political party, but they've now just joined the Electoral Commission.
Well, it's 3 years away as well, isn't it? I mean, they're not standing in local elections. They've said that. They've had multiple councillors already defect to them or join them from independence. I think it was 8 Reform councillors immediately went over to Restore. Because they realised that, they were with Reforms. That was the the best they could go with at the time, other than any other party. And now, obviously, Rupert's offering something completely different. So, you know.
Yeah. But, you know, did Rupert actually say Tommy when he said individuals? He said, i.e. Tommy. Did he actually say that?
Well, that's what I'm trying to ask. You see, I'm just trying to figure out if that was, because I mean, I do know that they don't like some of the internal structure at Advance, and
well, they've made it clear. It's the college.
Very clear.
You know, Connor Tomlinson has been on this week on Talk TV. I think Lewis as well, who's Blackpool's, and Blackpool has been talking about the fact that, you know, the college, although it seems like a great idea democratically, it wouldn't work. And I think, you know, that's something that Rupert didn't want. He's made that clear. I think the structure of Advance UK itself was something he had issues with, and he's entitled to have those issues. And
Rupert didn't mention Tommy, apparently.
And he doesn't believe that it would work. You know, when you consider, I mean, I was on the college for maybe a couple of months before I stood down to be leader, because it was a conflict of interest. In fact, I can be honest, it was me that brought it up. No one else thought about it. I read the Constitution and said, hang on, guys, I can't be on both, you know, so you need to, I need to step down. So I stepped down for those reasons, because you know, the conflict of interest, but no one else told me that. I made the decision myself.
Yeah. I did see something, and as you said that, it's just triggered my memory now. I saw something, and it was, I can't remember whose show it was on, but it was actually regarding the college, and it was Ben. And he, you know, I think the issue is that the college was set up to be democratic. However, it was never actually democratic. The groups and everything that formed off the college, you know, if you were a leader of a group, you still weren't the leader of the group. You still had to be controlled and told what you had to do anyway. So it was all kind of, it seemed like, you know, like democracy by name only sort of thing. And, you know, I've heard things, you know, like Paul Burgess. I've known and worked with Paul Burgess for years. And, you know, I saw something that Advance was trying to say, Paul saying there's no such thing as man-made climate change. Like, that's just bonkers. Paul has never said anything like that. Never said anything like that. Nope. Obviously, there's man-made climate change, right? The man-made emissions, but we just don't know the numbers. And if anybody does have a good idea of the numbers, it would be Paul Burgess in the whole of the UK. You know, he's the only guy. So it's things like that, you know, it's the experts not being listened to. Like, Paul is a super intelligent guy, and he knows his stuff, as you know, he's a super intelligent guy. And it was little things like that we're seeing so early on in Advance, which set alarm bells for a lot of people already. But again, you know, the luxury we've got in Wales is that we only need to focus on the next 70 days, and then we can have a reset of our mind and plow on again.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, it is so important that people need to hear that message. You know, we have got 77, 73, however many days left to continue lambasting everybody. We have to get, you know, Plaid not to come in and Labour out. It is just so important. And so over the next 70 days, we are going to keep on, vote restore, reform.
Yeah.
But, you know, the point is, we don't want to do it. But we have to do something that we don't want to do to ensure that we have the long game. People are so, oh my God, I am loyal to so-and-so. Fuck your loyalty and stand up for what is going to be the long game, you know?
Yeah. But, you know, you say 70 odd days, that's before 7th of May. Candidates have to be announced in April.
Yes.
Right? So actually, there's less time. So I'll be very intrigued to see how many candidates that Advance are going to put forward by then. Because obviously the vetting process, Dan, as you know, in politics, will take between 6 to 12 months. Yeah. That's to give you, you know, good candidates of good caliber who are able to debate, who are able to understand the constituency, to campaign well and have some experience. What I'm afraid of is you'll have a lot of inexperienced people standing as candidates, and they're going to be brutally attacked, which you know comes as well, and they're not used to it. And they're going to be, oh shit, what have I done? You know, and we try to protect people from that. We have said to them privately, listen, you need to know what you're going into. Listen to those of us who've been through this mill, and it's brutal, Dan. As
it is
you know.
Brutal, yeah, absolutely brutal.
And so so I think it's April the 16th. I might be wrong on that day, so just fact check me on that. But I think it's around about that time when candidates are announced. And with the new DHOC system, you know, this new system of voting, I mean, it's still PR. We still understand that it works percentage of votes. You're going to need to get at least 12 to 14% realistically to have a chance of winning a seat in a constituency, even under that. And if you looked at the latest polling figures, I mean, Advance aren't even polling here in Wales.
No.
You know, and some would say, yeah, but because we've never stood. Well, yeah, because the plan is not to stand in an election so close. You know, we need to look at 28, 29. That is sensible. This isn't me, you know, telling people I know better. This is just plain common sense.
Yeah, and we also put the home system. We used all of the current data that we've got available as of yesterday, and we put all of the information into AI to come back with predictions. And it wouldn't even recognize Advance. You know, it was like, yeah, there's basically no, not happening. You know, they're a non-entity in this. You know, it's a nonsense move, and I think that's unfortunately what he's going on, because that's this Prosser guy is saying that we don't understand that system. And I said, well, it doesn't matter, because to be part of that system, you have to get votes, and you ain't getting votes. You know, you're literally not. And it is sending lambs to the slaughter. The people on the left who are going to go after these candidates are ruthless. They want blood. You know, make no mistake about it. If there was a post that came out that said Dan from Voice of Wales has been hit by a bus, they'd be celebrating, right? You know, that's the type of horrible people they are, right? That's what they are. They want blood.
When everybody was celebrating about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's exactly who we're dealing with. And the way they're trying to get candidates is almost as if it's quick, anybody in. And they're not going to be prepped. They're not going to be ready. They're going to be thrown into the lion's den and torn to shreds, you know, and they haven't considered any duty of care that they've got for these people under that respect. You know, the more and more I think about it and talk about it and speak to people about it, the more and more I think that all this is a chance to get back at reform. That's the only logical explanation I've got in my mind of why they'd continue to go ahead. And that in my opinion, is the only one.
And so that's, again, built on a foundation of vengeance and vendetta.
Or could it be just pure egotistical as well? You know, thinking, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And, you know, you're just leading people down a garden path, only to find the gate's been long shut. I mean, I personally, like I said to Rogue, I'm just compassionate, with compassion, I feel for people who are going to end up being burnt badly and going to be hurt and going to become targets. Because, as again, Dan, you know, we've been in the game, we know what it's like, we know the attacks, and they're going to come. And when we were traveling, meeting members, you know, I'd say to them, yeah, you know, stand as a candidate, get yourself ready for 2029. You know, get to know how politics works, get to know the problems in your constituency, talk to your neighbours, your friends, people in your community, attend parish council meetings, go to like lobbying groups that are looking to repair, you know, the parks in your area. Get your name out there. Let people know who you are, that you care about the community. You've got 3 years to do that. And then come the elections, you can say, hey, listen, I've got a bit of a track record here. I've been standing up for my community. You know who I am.
Yeah.
That's the best. I mean, it's common sense to a lot of us. But sadly, when people hear these figures, you know, come and get a seat. You'll make 79 grand. You'll do this. It's like, it's almost like a car salesman. Like
it is
just
a complete car salesman. Roll up, come and join. It's like, oh my God, again, it's shameful. Like we're not on the market, mate.
Yeah, that's exactly what I got.
It was awful. So the more I hear about Advance, the more I think it's Richard Thompson running it, nudging the college. Why would you let Paul Burgess go? And basically, they're glad that Andrew Bridgen has joined. Well, I want to kind of go back to that, because we actually had a conversation, didn't we, with Ben?
Andrew Bridgen joined Restore.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Restore that. Yeah,
so he's joined Restore. I was going to ask, did you mean he's joined Advance or Restore? He's joined Restore.
No, Restore. Yeah. We had a conversation with Ben, and basically he said that, you know, Richard Thompson was going to be the new leader, as in he was leading the way, he was forging the way, nationally. But, you know, Ben was kind of giving that over to Richard Thompson. And I sort of said to Richard Thompson at the time, and this is verbatim, I said, if you carry on doing what you're doing, and you're doing it in the way that you're doing to Wales specific, you are going to lose Welsh members. And I said, and right now there's already 10 people who are willing to leave. And his words, let them go. We're not holding them to ransom. They can go if they want to go. And I then said, at that point, I now know why you are not going to win. You're just not going to win. You cannot win. If with that attitude, you're doing it as a numbers and people who edify and within their own little system and remit, but we're doing it on the ground for the people to understand what people want. But they're just being discarded. And I'm sorry, I can't stand that. I cannot stand that, because I take it personally for every single person, every single face that I have met and I have, conversed with about what they've gone through. Because when you go around, you become like a vicar, a counsellor, a doctor, understanding everything that they are going through. Because when you're talking to them, you hear their stories, and some of their stories are fucking tragic. You hear them and you want to absolutely take them all home with you and just love on every single one of them. But you can't. But for somebody who is going to be the new leader, who is the national director, to say, let them, nah, that was it for me. See ya, I'm out.
Yeah. Obviously there's no care about Wales. And, this is it with reform. Does Nigel care about Wales? I'd say he probably does more than the top of Advance, that Richie Thompson, whatever his name is. I think he does more than him, but ultimately probably not that much, but you've got the leader, Dan Thomas, from what I've seen of him, he's a good guy. You've got people like Gareth Beer, Michelle Beer in Connectley, fantastic people. They care about their community. Francesca O'Brien in Swansea, councillor, all these people. That's who we're getting behind for the Senate elections. We're not getting behind Nigel. We're getting behind the Welsh candidates who are good people. One example, in Swansea, Swansea's hell on earth, basically. City of Sanctuary for 12 years. So you can imagine how bad it is here, right? All the schools are fed halal. All hot meals in schools are halal. So, obviously my children are Christian, that we're not eating that. So there's no alternative. They're not like, oh, but you can do this instead. It's, well, you have to take them out and pay for packed lunch. And then you got to pay for packed lunch, which costs a fortune. But then, the schools, the trips to Sketty Mosque, every week the schools go in there and they're on their knees praying to Allah and learning how to fast. Now it's Ramadan. Children at the ages of 9 and 10 shouldn't be being taught that they shouldn't eat. That is an age where you should absolutely be eating. But when they went into one school, there was an incident that what the Muslim lady who was in there from the Sketty Mosque, a young girl asked her, or said to her, made a statement to her, this isn't how I pray. We don't pray to Allah. And she said to the little girl, allegedly, by the time you're in year 9 or whatever it was, you'll all be praying on mats. So, when you hear something like that, right, and that's from a child's mouth, so out of the mouths of babes, right? That's from a child's mouth to the parent. The parent, a child couldn't make that up. And a parent why would a parent just make that up? None of the council would know, right? They didn't want to know. They didn't want to touch it. Francesca O'Brien of Reform, right? The only Reform candidate was messaged. She's out of area. She got involved. She took part in a public meeting that was organised by the people. It went national. Obviously we got mutual friend in Patrick Christie's Rich. I sent the details to Patrick and I said, you need to have a look at this, get her on. She got on there. And, that was just one councillor in a lion's den of Labour who fought it off and, did brilliantly. And that's what we need, right? We might think now that, oh, Nigel, we don't like Nigel. I'm not a fan of Nigel Farage. What he did with Tommy, what he's done with Rupert as well, I'm not a fan. But the people that we're getting behind are going to be people that care about our community. So, it makes the pinching of the nose that little bit easier to know that the people who are going to be getting in are going to be Welsh. They're going to be people who care about their community and are going to have a license to say things about immigration, things like that we haven't been able to say before. So it's a no-brainer. I think the next 5 years are pivotal for the future of Wales. Absolutely pivotal. I don't think there's going to be any going back if it doesn't go the way that we need.
Absolutely.
In other news, Dan, just our friend Tommy Robinson had a flee, didn't he, because of threats. According to Bedfordshire Police, ISIS in their magazine that they've been printing, making him a target, and he's posted a video. I'm just going to play his video, Dan, and we can have a chat about it.
Yeah.
That's right, I'm in the United States of America. Can you see how happy I am? It's been a long time coming. I've dreamed about this moment for so long. In 2017, I was given an invite by 10 members of Congress to come and visit here and talk about the decline in free speech in Britain, which now the entire world knows about. But back then, 45 British MPs wrote to the American embassy in London and they blocked my travel. 45, that's 3 times as many MPs who had ever spoke about grooming. They didn't want me to come here to talk about the problems that Britain faces. Well, tough shit, I'm now here. Yeah? You hold no weight anymore. You have zero credibility to the British Parliament. The whole world now looks upon you as a laughing stock. So I'm in the United States of America. If you want to keep up to date with what I'm doing here, it's tommyinusa.com. I'm very excited. I have felt American politics. I've watched American politics. I've been part of American politics for well over a decade. I felt entrenched in it when I watched the robbery of the election, when I watched the fallout, when I watched the January 6th events, when I saw all of it. I felt every moment of it, lived every moment of it. I don't know why in Britain we feel a special, when things happen in America, different to the rest of Europe, we feel it. And I certainly feel it. I feel emotionally attached to the place that I'm not from, but I'm here now, so I'm excited. Going to travel to the USA, got lots of great meetings, lots of great people to meet and lots of great content to bring to you.
Yeah, there we go, Dan. So, yeah, what do you make of Tommy's latest kind of move over there and to get into US politics? Obviously, he's been stopped from going there. They prevented him, didn't want his voice heard, but obviously he's managed to get there now. So, well, what's your thoughts around that?
Oh, it's awesome. It's so good because I know how much it means to him. You know, I know how thrilled and how excited he will feel. And, you know, not just thrilled and excited, you know, how much has that man sacrificed? You know, he's sacrificed more than anybody in the UK, you know, repeatedly 10 times over. And, you know, I've been with him for a long time, like, and, you know, I've been to the events when he was on social media, on X, pulling hundreds of thousands into London, to when he was cancelled off everything, pulling a couple of thousand into Telford for the Rape of Britain documentaries. And then he's getting arrested, locked up. And now things are on the up. And it's, you know, I spoke to him, the night before last. And, you know, I said, it's all finally paying off. You're starting to see the turn. You know, this is what it's been going for, you know. And again, he's so excited and so happy for that, opportunity, because that's what that's what it is he's seeing it as, is the opportunity to go and speak to some of the most powerful people on the planet. And what, you know, you saw what happened. Elon Musk got involved with the obviously with Tommy's arrest and with his imprisonment, and then he spoke at the Unite the Kingdom event, the last Unite the Kingdom event. So I'd like to think he's going to be meeting him. I'd love to think he's going to be meeting him. But ultimately, you know, he said it in that video, right? Everybody, we all feel that emotional attachment to America. You know, I got it there. You know, we all feel that. We all feel that emotional attachment to America because it comes from the saying, you know, America sneezes, the whole world gets a cold. And I think, you know, getting that opportunity to go and tell people what's happening in the UK is incredible. You know, I think it's gonna and this may seem a bit out there, but I think it could potentially be one of the things, a key factor in saving the United Kingdom, is letting them know how bad it is. And I think, you know, it's going to be quite hard to ignore when he's out there. So ultimately I'm chuffed for him, absolutely chuffed for him.
Well, we all know what Trump thinks of Keir Starmer and the Labour government. Anyway, we've made it very clear. I mean, he knows it's a complete joke when he talks about the freedom of speech in the UK. I mean, Trump is like, you don't have freedom of speech in the UK anymore. It's just, it was great news to see him there. We're wishing him the very, very best. And, you know, I know he's already been having several meetings that he's been posting on his social media as well, influential people as well. I think it's Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, one of his pastors, reached out to us a couple of weeks ago. I'm yet to follow up on that conversation. So I'm praying and hoping we can get Giuliani on the show. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be great. Rudy.
It'd be a great scoop. Yeah, I wouldn't it just. And I think politics follows a lot from America, doesn't it? But I think what Keir Starmer's doing now, he's leaning more towards the European Union because his last chance saloon ticket, there was a poll out from 16 to 34-year-olds. I think it was a very large percentage would go back into the EU. And if you're looking at his voter base, he's lowered the age to 16 now, Labour. Obviously, they want to do that to reach those people. Yeah. And his last chance really is to say, look, next general election, if you vote for me, we'll have another referendum to go back into the EU. I think that I personally, I might be wrong, but I've been banging on about this for quite a while now. I believe that is the only way he can save his bacon. That is to tell people he'll take them back into the EU, the customs union, the single market, because there is an appetite for it, because people feel Brexit has failed. Now, Brexit itself, it did fail, but it shouldn't have to have failed. It's because Farage left the playing field. He didn't deliver full Brexit, and that's
spot on, as Rich. You're the first person I've heard actually say it like that, right? Because that is true. People have said about Brexit didn't work, and it's not that it didn't work. Other people say no, it was never implemented. The Tories didn't do anything. No, right? Yeah, okay, all that is true. The Tories did bugger all with it. Brexit, we've never had Brexit, right? But it failed because Nigel left. Like for 30 years he's been campaigning to leave the European Union, and then when he gets the result, he buggered off. I couldn't believe it. You'd see that through, surely. And then, 2019, when he stood down all his candidates to let Boris in, again, it's just mental. What are you thinking? Why would you not see this through? So I'm glad you said it like that, Rich, because that's spot on, that is. I think if Nigel had stuck around and kept the pressure on, because the pressure was obviously there, we would have had a harder Brexit. Well, not a harder Brexit. There was no, do you want this kind of Brexit or this kind of Brexit? It was leave or remain. That was it. The two questions. That was it. So there's no appeasing everybody. But if he had stayed, I think it would have been better. But we can all thank Brexit now for one thing, and it is what Spain has just done with 500,000 illegal migrants. Giving them amnesty. Well, that means that they're going to be free travel all across Europe, including the United Kingdom, if we were still in the EU. They still come here anyway because of the way it is. But
that decision, when I think it was at the Emmanuel Centre or the Great Methodist Hall in London. I was there with 650 candidates at the time, and some friends of mine before the meeting told me that the announcement was going to be made, and the actual devastation for those candidates at the time, I'll never forget it. I mean, they didn't see it coming. And when Nigel got up and said it, people were absolutely devastated. They put all their money, the time and effort and the selection process and the finance it cost them. I think it was a big mistake. I know why he did it. I understand his reasons. Do I agree with his reasons for stepping those candidates? Absolutely not. And I think it damaged the brand, and he then disappeared from the playing field, so to speak. And then, Ben Habib and Richard Tice and all those guys held the party together, David Bull and all those guys, and they were floating. They only had 30,000 members. And people forget this. When they went into the elections in July last year, I mean, what was it, 30,000 members they were stuck on, right? Farage comes out of the jungle, gets back involved, starts saying the same things he always says, and all of a sudden the membership grows to in excess of over 150, 200,000, if you believe the ticker. And I think, if you look at Restore's rise in such a short space of time, without all of that, without the recognition that Farage has had, without the airtime on mainstream media Farage has had, is absolutely extraordinary, because there'll come a time
82,000.
Because one of the advantages Ruben has is because he is an elected MP.
Exactly.
Whereas with Ben, he's not. And I think there is more gravitas with that. You get more of an opening into mainstream media, and he has more of a clout. And I've watched back and done some research on Rupert's speeches in the House of Commons, and he, when he was with Reform, he gave more speeches and debated more bills than any other member of Reform at the time. In fact, he's on record as one of the most outspoken people in the Houses of Commons than anybody else. So it shows you that he really genuinely does engage with the political elites to challenge them and speak truth to power. And that says a lot about the man, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. I don't think there's ever been there's never been an opportunity to criticize his character. And I think that's what makes him such an attractive sort of pull when it comes to a political party, because there's nothing you can say that says, well, look, he's obviously self-serving. Look at this. You know, he's doing his job and 10 times over whilst donating his money to local charities and things like that. You know, there's not a lot that you can really, if anything, there's nothing. Even to the point of, you know, the way he's been with Nigel and Zia Youssef after what they did to him. You know, he hasn't been publicly sour grapes and this and that. You know, he said his bit, and then he's moved on. So you could tell he's a man with a job on the mind. And his job on the mind is the party now, Restore Britain. So yeah, I think he's fantastic. I'm behind him 100%.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to round up in a minute, but I just want to kind of ask a question because somebody's put shame for Nick Buckley. And I kind of am bothered by this because they're still pursuing this as if like Advance is still going. So it's almost like they're still going ahead and they're not really factoring in a murder, are they? They can't be if they're still actually putting, you know, Nick out there.
Yeah.
What do you think about Nick and what do you think are his chances of kind of winning anything?
Well, Nick's a really nice guy. You know, we've spoke to Nick a lot. We've done a lot of work with Nick over the years. He is a really, really nice guy. You know, I don't think, I just think Advance's decision to stand in that area again, you know, they shouldn't be even thinking about it. You know, they just, like, imagine the vote split between Advance and Reform, and they actually do stop Reform getting in. You know, the only people they're appeasing and satisfying and doing the work for are the opposition parties, which is a real shame. And I was really disappointed. You know, again, this is just another thing that is, I don't know why they seem to really like self-harming Advance, because all they, you know, they should have known. Why would they not know that if they put a candidate up in there, a party that's not quite ready, people are going to be annoyed? And they were. You know, I watched the backlash of people saying like, oh, what, I'm out. Like, you know, I can't believe you're doing this. You're not putting country first. And I saw a big backlash. But at the same time, I think Nick Buckley's a really good guy. You know, I don't want to criticize him. He's done some great work over the years, and I got to be honest, that AI campaign video is bloody fantastic.
It was
really
amazing.
good.
It was so good.
Yeah,
so good.
I mean,
Rogue Baraka's covering live in Manchester where Nick is standing and Ben is on his way there.
Yeah. I mean, I think first going to Nick Buckley, he's a good friend and he still is. And I've got the utmost respect for him. And
thank you, the original Joe Blogs.
We've worked together for many years on different things as well. We met back, I think he was doing the Brexit era. And of course, his work in the community has been exceptional. You know, he's done a lot for vulnerable people, addicts, the homeless, and everything else. He got, you know, an MBE for his work. I just think the chances of them winning there are very, very slim. He would make a great MP, by the way, for the people of that area. I know he would, but the mechanics of politics, unfortunately, are not in his favour. And I think that's where they're going to end up, you know, losing. And I'm saddened by that because I think, you know, given more time, look towards the general election. And then if he stood then in the general election, having built the party up, he would have given himself a much better chance, a much stronger chance. Because like you say, Dan, he's a wonderful guy. And I think it's a shame that they didn't look at even the polling, actually, if you look at it in that area, I mean, look, it's all a bit of a... Matt Goodwin's under fire now because a former GB News worker there has accused him allegedly of sexual inappropriate comments. That's hit in the press today as well. So, you know, you always get that, don't you? The problem I've got with the whole the Denton and by-election is that if the Greens get in, I mean, which is they're polling pretty well with Labour as well. I mean, I'd be very concerned. I mean, very, very concerned. I mean, they are the Al Akbar party, for as far as I'm concerned. And that's very worrying. And I think that is why I think, you know, what percentage of votes he needs in that area in a by-election, you know, he's not going to appear much on mainstream media. A lot of his campaign is done here online. And I did some research, actually, Rogue, didn't I? And looked at the amount of people in that area that are on social media is absolutely, like, it's really below average. It's really, really low, especially on X and things like that. And so people aren't seeing his stuff, even though it's brilliant. And you said the video and his campaign.
The video was really, really good. And
he's campaigning on local issues, which I like, you know, about keeping the streets safe and women safe and taking knives off street. You know, I want to inquire into the grooming gangs that happened there. Brilliant local campaigner, excellent candidate. But I just think the mechanics by which he's using at the moment are not going to serve him well.
Yeah, he would have done better if he had just waited. You know, it just wait until after the general election. If they had just done all that, we're in a totally different place then. You know, because we've got the government that we need in, and we can start building on. If they'd waited, if they all just waited, then brilliant. And you know, I think if they had waited again, still keep on waiting, he may have, you know, he's in a similar position to us because we're basically not welcoming any party. You know, people think that we're paid by Reform. They always give us shit and they're like, oh, see, they're obviously paid by Reform. Reform have instructed all of their candidates they're not allowed to speak to us. They have to avoid us. We're blacklisted by Reform. So we're not paid by or want Reform to win at all. We just know that there's a job in hand. This is a stage by stage process. Stage 1, get them lot out. Stage 2 in 5 years' time is get the party in that we need. And I think that a week is a long time in politics. Who knows what would happen for Nick Buckley if he had waited that little bit longer? Who knows what advance would have been? Would he have carried more weight if it was with Restore? Probably. You know, so I just think a lot of people at the moment are making too much of a rush decision, and the outcomes aren't going to be favourable for them at all. And if anything, will affect them in the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to round up with this. There has been a striking mural celebrating Welsh identity unveiled in the Valleys town. And this, how beautiful is that?
Nation Cymru posted that?
No, this is what we've basically seen. This is a news item that's come up, and I'm sorry.
Is it a Nation Cymru article though?
I'm not entirely sure. Our research team sent it.
I think it is. I just looked. The heading looks the same. Yeah, that's Nation Cymru.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they're not calling it racist.
Nation Cymru.
But look at
that is stunning.
It is gorgeous. I absolutely love it.
Can I see the camera?
Yeah.
Same flower.
That's amazing.
That's really nice. It's nice to see something like that in Wales because I don't know if you see Cardiff. You've got the African woman in the Cardiff City football shirt, painted on a wall. That's been taken out now. You've got the Bow Selector nurse in Cardiff. We don't see many images of white people being celebrated, do we? So that's really lovely to see. I like that picture. I'm gonna go find that picture.
It is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Fantastic.
That's what
I'm just trying to think. It was another story. I think that's it for today, my love.
Yeah.
For the Brunch show. Well, Dan, thank you for coming on, mate.
Sorry about that.
Nice one for having me.
With the link.
Yeah.
When are we going to do the breakfast show with you and Steph? Let's get something in the diary, mate. We'll talk.
Yeah, definitely. Well, once the kids are back in school, half term has been the problem at the moment, because it's what we would do. I've been timing it around schools, getting it in, getting the morning shift done, and then home to take my boy to school. But they're going to be back in school now next week, so we'll have a chat about it. Hopefully, we get something sorted next week.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Mate.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Nice one. Thanks for having me. Speak to you soon. Cheers, guys.
I love him. He's a great guy, isn't he? He knows his shit, and Wales is his passion, and that is just so important, isn't it?
Just a couple of announcements coming up this week, then, folks. Just to let you know, we're back tomorrow night, and we've got two wonderful guests on the show.
We have got the wonderful Alan, and we have the crazy Gareth Wynne-Jones, and we're talking about our recent get-together. Yeah, it was an event in Cumbrian, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're also going to be discussing the events that are coming up as well, which we're going to be part of. Save the date in your diary. It's the 25th of April. Rally Against Digital ID is going to be one in London, Edinburgh, and Cardiff outside the Senedd.
Yep.
And in Belfast, myself and Rogue will be there outside the Senedd.
Not in Belfast.
Outside the Senedd.
Cardiff.
Yeah, in Cardiff, yeah, of course. So please, if you want to know more, go to the Together website at together.org and find out more information there, because we're hoping for a few thousand there. We've done it before. Let's do it again. Let's put pressure on the government just prior to the elections as well. So it's important you contact your MSs. There are templates on the website that you can send into your MS to ask them to campaign to say no to digital ID. So the 25th of April, come and say hi.
Yay, we'll be there.
We will be there indeed.
And I'm going to be chatting away to you all. So come over and say hello.
Yeah, so make sure you're there for that. And then, of course, we're back, like I said, tomorrow night. And also, we're going to be supporting a friend of ours, Andrew Bridgen, who came on the show the other night. We had a wonderful time with him.
Friday, the 6th of March, 6:30 till 10 p.m. We are going to be at the evening with Andrew. And it's going to be in Leeds. So it's at the Bruncliffe Club in Leeds. So we will be there supporting our lovely friend Andrew, who speaks the truth.
We will indeed. And don't forget, folks, a new addition to the show every Wednesday. We're back.
Yeah.
Covering PMQs. So no slide there. And hopefully we'll have Basil the Great, because we love his commentary. You, our viewers and subscribers, love to have him on as well. So please, 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 12 o'clock live every Wednesday as well. As well as a Wednesday night show. Come along, because we're going to be discussing the debates, the arguments, and everything else that goes on, and pass on our commentary on that as well.
Yeah.
So thank you ever so much.
That is us today.
That's brunch, yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah.
And we will see you tomorrow night at 8
We will.
p.m.
And please don't forget to follow, like, share.
And subscribe. Thank you. Love you.